Welcome to episode 3 of the Fight Science Made Simple podcast. I'm your host, Coach Adam Snyder. I'm a lifelong martial artist, active MMA fighter, and performance and recovery coach. I've dedicated my life to helping fighters train harder, recover faster, and stay on the mat for life. And we do this with science-backed, data-driven strategies. In today's episode, we are talking about recovery, all things recovery. What is it? Why is it important? What are common misconceptions about recovery? And what are action steps that you can take today to improve your recovery and see immediate improvements to your game? I hope you're excited. Like the title of this podcast suggests, my goal is to make this information as simple as possible. I want to jam pack it with value, but I want to also make it actionable so today you can start seeing improvements. So to help me make more of these podcasts and reach more people, I would love it if you could do two things. The first is follow the podcast. That helps a lot. And the second thing is share it with your training partners, with your teammates. The more fighters and martial artists that we can get this information in the ears of, the just better place the sport is going to be and the more success people are going to have, which is what we want. So I really appreciate you for doing that. Without further ado, let's jump into episode 3 of the Fight Science Made Simple podcast. Okay, so today, like I said, we are talking about recovery. Recovery is super important because we are only as good as the work that we can recover from. As a fighter, you don't make gains from the hard work that you're doing. You make your gains from how you recover from that work. And so it's super important for leveling up your performance, but recovery is also super important for avoiding injury and burnout, because if you're just training, going as hard as you can without proper recovery, eventually your body is going to burn out and break down. And so if we want to be successful at the sport and we want to be successful for a long time, not just a short, small window, but for a really, really long time, mastering your recovery is a super important thing. And the first step to mastering your recovery is first understanding what recovery is. At the simplest level, recovery is just your body's ability to get back to baseline normal health. So if you're unhealthy or you're damaged or you're sick or you're hurt, you recover and then you get back to normal and you no longer have those ailments or sicknesses or issues. That's a very basic understanding of recovery. To take it up one more notch, it really comes down to stress. How well our body manages, adapts, and then recovers from stress. And as humans, as fighters, we are dealing with stress all day long. And stress isn't inherently a bad thing. Just too much stress is what leads to overtraining, under recovering, if we are not putting the proper recovery protocols and measures in place. And what's really interesting is that your body doesn't know the difference between stress from a hard sparring session or stress from a hard day at work. And so all you're doing is focusing on training hard. But then you have other stressors in your life, which you probably do, whether it's work or relationships or family or sitting in traffic, whatever the craziness and challenges that life throws at you, it's putting stress on your body. And if you don't have a good strategy for managing that stress, that's when we start to lead to burnout. That's when we start to lead to injury. And that's when it really starts to impact our game. But like anything, there's a scale with these things. And there's also a scale to your stress levels and how you recover from different levels of stress. There's actually 5 different levels that are really important to understand. The first level you have to understand is under training. This is just where you're not doing enough. There's not enough stress on your body to cause any kind of performance gains. Because what we want to do is we want to put just enough stress on our body that our body isn't used to. So then we have to adapt to that stress and then we get better. If any of you are musicians, it's like you play guitar and what happens, you're putting stress on your fingers. They hurt at first and then they build calluses because you're putting stress on your body and then your fingers get stronger. They adapt to the stress that you're putting it under. And it goes for the same as you as a fighter. You're putting your body through stress, whether it's to build strength or power or cardio or injury resilience. You have to put stress on your body first and then it adapts and it grows. And so if you are not putting enough stress on your body. You're actually undertraining and you're not going to get any better. The second level to that is training, where you have proper recovery, you have a decent amount of stress, and you're going to see some performance gains. The thing about just training, though, is that at a certain point, your body is going to adapt to that level of stress. So let's say you are at a level 1 to what your body can handle in stress. You put it at level 1.5. Well, you chill at level 1.5 for a couple months, maybe even bring it to level 2 for a couple months, and you just stay there forever. Eventually, your baseline becomes level 2, and what was once just training now becomes undertraining because you're not introducing new stresses on the body. So to really get the most out of your performance and recovery gains, we have to hit a sweet spot. And that's number 3. We call this functional overreaching. This is where I want most fighters and most athletes to live, because let's say your baseline of stress is like that number 3 training intensity. If all you do is stay at number 3, like we talked about, you're never going to get any better. And so what overreaching is just going a little bit over our baseline. And so if level 3 is our baseline, maybe we go to level 3.5, or maybe we go to level 4, and we're overreaching. We're putting more stress on our body than what our body is used to. And by putting our body through that level of stress for a certain moment of time, for a certain length of time, and then pulling back and allowing your body to recover with a deload week or a rest week or a recovery day, what happens is this really interesting phenomenon in the body called supercompensation, where you build the stress, you stack the stress on your body, and then you pull back and you remove stress, and you actually allow your body to recover and heal. And this slingshots your baseline forward. So where your baseline was once level 2, now because we reached, now our baseline is over level 3. And we want to repeat this process to keep growing and growing and growing. But what happens, and this is what a lot of fighters experience, is level 4 in our scale is what we call non-functional overreaching. And so if we're, let's say, at that level 2, and we're overreaching 2.5, overreaching to 3, overreaching to 4, and we keep putting more stress and stress and stress on the body, but then we never give our body those recovery days. We never give our body those deload weeks. What happens is you're just stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking the stress on your body. You're never going to super compensate, and you're never going to make gains. And this is honestly, this non-functional overreaching is also what we can call under recovering. You're just not recovering from the stress that you're putting your body through. And so you're not going to make performance gains, and you may even get injured, or you may even burn out. And this is what we're trying to avoid. The next level and the final level, level 5 from that, is what we call overtraining. This is the absolute extreme. And typically when fighters and athletes talk about, oh yeah, I'm overtraining, they're typically not overtraining. They're typically non-functionally overreaching. They're under recovering. It's very, very, very challenging to overtrain. That being said, if there was any sport where athletes would overtrain, it would be fighting, because you're putting so much stress on your body and you are overreaching for so long without any form of recovery that not only does your body start to break down, you start to burn out, but you also start to lose performance gains. You start to go backwards because you're putting way too much stress on your body. And so what we want to do, like I said, is we want to find that sweet spot. We want to know where our baseline stress levels lie. We want to functionally overreach. We want to go over that baseline by just enough where we're not destroying our bodies. And then we want to make sure that we're strategically implementing recovery days, recovering weeks, deload time, to allow our body to super compensate, to make adaptations to the stress that you're putting it through, so you can consistently make gains while avoiding burnout and avoiding injury. So that's as basic and simple as I can make the concept of recovery and stress management. Um, if it was a little confusing, that's okay. It still confuses me sometimes. Go back and listen to the section a couple times and really ingrain into your mind. But now you should have at least a basic understanding of what recovery is and why recovery is important and how it works. Now that you know those things, we can talk about how to properly recover and some common misconceptions about recovery. Because I think even though recovery is something that more and more fighters are talking about, a lot of fighters still don't understand what it means to properly recover. When I listen to fighters talk about recovery, I'm dealing with these nagging injuries. Oh, I'm just tired. I'm burned out all the time. Oh, I've been pushing really hard. It was a tough week. Excuse me. All the common things. The first things they go to is, oh, I need to hit the sauna. I need a cold plunge. I need to get a massage. I need to go to the chiropractor. I need to see my physical therapist. I need to foam roll more. I need a cortisone shot. I need some peptides. I need some dry needling. And they go to all of these passive modalities of recovery. And what these passive modalities of recovery do is they treat symptoms, but they don't actually fix the root cause of what might be causing your recovery issues. And they don't really improve your recovery. They just make you feel better in the moment, which can be beneficial in the short term, but it's almost like slapping a band-aid on the issue without addressing what is actually wrong and wondering why you're not getting any better. And so the way that I like to think about approaching your recovery, I like to think about it like a pyramid, okay? And at the top, the very tippy top of the pyramid, the thing that impacts your recovery the most is those passive modalities, the sauna, the cold plunge, the massage, the dry needling. Those are the things that impact your recovery the most. However, those are the things that fighters focus on the most when it comes to recovery. And they have it backwards because if all you're doing is focusing on your passive modalities of recovery and you think that's doing enough for your recovery, it's kind of like going to an ice cream shop and just ordering a bowl of sprinkles, right? Who would do that? Nobody would do that. And so you're just getting a bunch of sprinkles that you're having a very insignificant impact on your recovery. And what we actually need to do is focus on the base and the bottom and the foundation of the pyramid first. And at the very bottom of the base, the very foundation of your recovery is sleep. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's super basic and it's super boring. But sleep it's like a legal performance enhancer. It is the number one best thing that you can do for your recovery. And you can make changes to your sleep right now to start seeing better results to your recovery. I tell the athletes that we coach, sleep 8 hours a night. Go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every single day. Make it dark. Make it cold. Put your phone away. Relax and get off social media and get away from stressful, stimulating things that come into your life, like playing video games or arguing or obsessing over the news. Calm down, relax, let your body just shift into a space of recovery and then sleep, because sleep is where your body heals. It releases hormones, it rebuilds, and it resets your body so you can consistently make progress day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. So the very first thing, if you're struggling with recovery, prioritize your sleep first. The next level to the pyramid, the second foundational piece that cannot be missed, is your nutrition. At the Fight Science Collective, we call this performance nutrition because eating for performance is very different than just eating clean and healthy. But your nutrition is so important because what you eat doesn't just fuel your performance, but it also fuels your recovery. And so when we first start working with a client and we're dialing in their nutrition, we first want to make sure that they're in the right weight class. They're fighting at the right weight class, which means their walk around weight is at a healthy range away, typically 16% or lower away from their fight weight. Then once we identify what weight class they're fighting in and where they are in relation to that weight class, then we identify what our goal is. Are we maintaining weight? Are we peaking for performance? Are we cutting fat? Are we starting to cut to make weight? We have to understand where we are. And then we have to calculate how many calories that person burns in a day. We call this total daily energy expenditure. Then we can determine how much they need to eat to achieve their goals. If they need to lose weight, they need to be in a deficit. If they're maintaining weight or optimizing performance, they're eating at maintenance. Excuse me. If they need to gain weight or gain muscle, or they're recomping and going up a weight class, they need to eat in a surplus. It's very important. Then we can talk about what foods to eat. We want lean proteins. We want good carbohydrates. We want rice. We want sweet potatoes. We want fruits. We want pasta. We want lots of fruits and vegetables. We want good healthy fats like avocado and oils like olive oil and nuts and seeds. We want to make sure that we're eating lean, whole, nutrient-dense foods. And then we want to eat our foods at the right time. We want to time them around training. Actually, last week's podcast, episode 2, was all about this food timing and meal timing, when and what to eat before training. So you can go back and watch that episode. We also advise that our clients eat a gram of protein per pound of body weight, and they're dialing in their nutrition. They're weighing themselves before they train, weighing themselves after they train, replenishing the water loss with water and electrolytes. Really important. You're not just drinking water, but you're also replenishing with electrolytes. Like, all of these things are so important. So you have to get your sleep down. You have to get your nutrition perfect. Then you have to get your training. This is the next foundational level of the recovery pyramid. When are your hard days? When are your light days? When are your medium days? What is your strength and conditioning like? Are you targeting your weaknesses, turning them into strengths? Is your program changing and evolving as you change and evolve? Is it adapting to the different phases of the fight cycle that you're in? Is it built around your sport and your competition and your equipment access and your experience level and the injuries that you have? This is really, really, really important, because if you're just doing random workouts that your coach tells you to do, or you're watching YouTube videos to get workout ideas, or you're using ChatGPT, or you're just going to the gym and lifting randomly, and for cardio, you're just going for runs or doing hit circuits and training really, really hard, then what's happening is you have no dose management to your stress. You're just putting as much stress or random stress on your body as possible. And when you overload your system with stress, it's very difficult to manage that stress. And this is where you dip into that non-functional overreaching, that under recovery phase. And so it's so important to have a well periodized, science-backed plan to training that puts stress on your body strategically so that you can stay within that functional overreaching range. So important. The next level up is supplementation. Really important. Most supplements are bullshit, but once you have the 3 foundational layers done, then we can add supplements. Things like creatine are great, beta-alanine, whey protein, multivitamin. The basics work best. But again, these don't come in until the foundational layers are hit. And once all of those boxes are checked, then you can sprinkle your sprinkles on top, and you can add your passive modalities, the sauna, the massage, the cold plunge. But if you are not dialing your sleep, nutrition, and training strategy, it doesn't matter how much of the passive modalities you do, they are not going to have a significant impact. They may make you feel better in the moment, but you're going to keep struggling with the same injuries. You're going to keep struggling with the same burnout. And worse, it's going to get worse and worse over time, the more that you push it. So let's take a pause on the passive modalities and really focus. And this is what we do at the Fight Science Collective. We dial in our clients' sleep, nutrition, and training strategy by creating a science-backed, personalized protocol for them. And so if you want to make it in the sport, you have to do the same. Those things have to be dialed in. Okay. Really, really, really important to dial those in. Those are really important strategies to recovering. You know what recovery is, you know why it's important. How do you gauge if you're actually recovered or not? Because I know it can be hard to tell. Some days you feel good. Some days you feel beat up and burned out. When should you just push the pain? Maybe you're tired that day. Maybe you had a long day at work and it's still a sparring day. Should you spar hard that day? Should you take off that day? Should you sleep in? It can be really, really challenging without data. And this is why we are so obsessed with data at the Fight Science Collective, because your body, specifically your heart, is constantly sending signals to whether you are recovered and managing stress well, or under recover and managing stress poorly. Your heart is like your body's check engine light. And so we track three really important data metrics at the Fight Science Collective. The first is heart rate variability. This basically is a reading of how your body manages stress. It reads your nervous system, whether it's recovering from stress well or it's not recovering from stress well. It's really hard to say what your HRV should be because it's such an individualized number. What's more important is looking at your trend. So if you wear something like a Whoop, this is what we use with our clients, or an Oura Ring, and you have a couple months of heart rate variability data, then you can monitor your trend line. And if for a couple days or weeks your heart rate variability is 10% lower than it normally is, we want a high HRV. If it's lower than normal for a good amount of time, this could be a sign that you're overreaching, non-functionally overreaching, or maybe even overtraining. The same thing for resting heart rate. We want lower resting heart rates. Elite athletes, we want in the high 40s, mid 40s to low 50s. But it's the same as your heart rate variability. You can use a biometric tracker like Whoop to monitor your resting heart rate data so you have trends for an extended period of time, a couple months. And when you see elevations in your resting heart rate, so your resting heart rate is higher than normal, this is an indicator that you're under recovering or you're overtraining. We also like to use heart rate recovery. Heart rate recovery is how quickly your heart can come down from a level of high stress back to baseline. We typically, in our clients, like to see a heart rate recovery of 50 to 60 beats in a minute. So let's say your heart rate is up at 180 after a hard sparring session. It drops all the way down to 120 in 1 minute. This is incredible. We track these trends with our clients. And so if there are a couple days or a couple weeks where your heart rate recovery is smaller than normal, let's say you typically recover 50 beats in a minute and now you're recovering 30 beats in a minute, you may be under recovered or overtraining. And so it's really important that we're monitoring these trends. And at the end of the day, this data is just information, but it's not the end all be all. It's better than going feelings though. Our feelings are still important, however. So we want to use our heart rate data in conjunction with how we feel. So you might be looking at your heart rate data and you might feel great, but your HRV might be plummeted. If it's just a day or two, I would say keep training. But if you're feeling okay and your HRV is plummeted for a couple days, a week, 2 weeks, might be a sign, okay, you need to do something. On the other side of things, let's say you are feeling trashed, but your heart rate data is great and your heart rate data is great for a couple days, a couple weeks, then you probably just have to suck it up and go to training. If you feel like trash and your data is trash, then this is a great sign that you need to prioritize recovery a little bit. And we love heart rate data. We love tracking data because once we put our sleep and nutrition and training plan in place, the data tells us if what we're doing is working or not. So if a client, you're going to have a red or a yellow day throughout the week. This is normal because we want to be functionally overreaching. We want to put just enough stress on our body. So we train hard, train hard, train hard. We have a red or a yellow recovery day. Great. Let's pull back. Let's deload. And then we should shoot up and hit green for a couple days. Obviously, we want more green days than red or yellow days. But this is the game, right? We're constantly balancing how much stress we're putting on the body and how we're recovering from that stress. Super, super, super important. So quick little summary. Hope you guys are loving this. I love it. Recovery is how your body can heal, how your body goes from a state of disruption, you're leaving homeostasis back to a normal baseline. There are 5 levels of recovery that we're looking to understand. Under training, there's not enough stress on your body to cause any kind of adaptation. Training, you have a good amount of stress and recovery, and you will make progress, but you probably don't have enough stress to make significant gains. That's where functional overtraining comes into play. We're shooting over our baseline in stress just enough where our body can grow and get better, but we're also not pushing it so far where we're breaking down. We're pushing and then recovering through and using the concept of super compensation to slingshot our performance forward. Then we have non-functional overtraining. This is also under recovery, where you're putting too much stress on your body without proper recovery. So you're not making gains and you're actually breaking your body down. This leads to injury and burnout. And finally, you have overtraining. This is where you have so much stress on your body for so long, you're overreaching for weeks and months that your body breaks down and gets injured. And you actually start going backwards. You start losing progress, and it takes weeks, maybe even months to recover from this and get back to baseline. Really important. when you're prioritizing your recovery, think about that recovery pyramid, get your sleep and your nutrition and your training routine dialed in. Then you can sprinkle passive modalities and supplements on top of that to add a little oomph, but only add those in once the other 3 layers are dialed. Use data like heart rate recovery and resting heart rate and heart rate variability to monitor if you're recovered or not, to use data and facts and not feelings to make educated decisions about your training. And if there's anything that you can do today to start immediate improvements to your recovery, the first is to prioritize your sleep. And the second is to have a positive relationship with taking days off. I always tell our clients, because I used to struggle with this, I used to feel antsy or like my opponent was out working or I was a pussy if I took days off, or I felt like days off, I wasn't tough enough. And this is a really, really, really destructive mindset to have. So a mindset that I shifted in myself first, and then we shifted in I do with all of our clients, which is really important, is that you need to have confidence in your recovery days. Your recovery days, your rest days are strategic and part of the plan, and they are what gives you the edge over your competition, not just working harder. We need to work harder and we need to recover smarter. To shift that frame, do those two things, change the frame, create a positive relationship with rest days and recovery, and start fixing your sleep. You do those two things, you're going to see better recovery. Make sure you check out last week's episode if you want to learn more about meal timing. But that's everything. That's today's episode. I try to make it as short and sweet and as valuable as possible. If you got a lot out of it, please, 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 it helps so much if you share this with your training partners, you share this with your teammates. Follow the podcast. We're releasing brand new episodes every single week. And until next time, I'll catch you later.